What are your thoughts on Eric Bieniemy interviewing with the Broncos for their head coaching position? Guys, in case you missed it, the Broncos requested permission to interview with him. I'm not really sure how that works. The Chiefs might have to say wait until after the playoffs or say, piss off or whatever they want to say. Um, if the Chiefs grant permission and that's how the process works, and he does end up following through, even if they don't have to grant it and he does it anyway, good for him. I mean, he deserves a head coaching spot. I think it would be rough on the Chiefs to face him twice a year. I think if it's in the AFC West, he always struck me as more of a like rugged Raiders type guy than a Broncos guy, but he has the best odds for the Vikings job as of this recording. He went from zero buzz to hella buzz, for lack of a better term, in a week.
Yeah, he has some pretty good buzz again this year. I don't know if the Broncos is the best fit for him. I see Bieniemy. I don't know what his ceiling is as a head coach. I think there's a solid floor, especially if you pair him with a guy who can see his vision, and especially a guy who's been with him, like a Ryan Poles, who is getting buzz as a GM candidate again this year. I think this is the year he's finally going to get hired. Or a John Dorsey, who's apparently back in the mix as a GM candidate elsewhere. I actually think Eric Bieniemy, we saw Joe Judge fire today. I think he'd be a good fit for the Giants.
I like that.
And the Jags job is also open. I think he'd be a good fit down there because I think he's actually a good, we need to rebuild our culture guy. Just because he's personable and he can deal with the New York media. I think he could. Yeah. He can deal with the questions in Jacksonville and get the stink of Urban Meyer out of there. He's kind of a guy where you just go, we need to rebound our culture as a team. And kind of like the Dan Campbell hire was last year for the Lions. Mm-hmm. We don't know if Dan Campbell can be a Super Bowl winning coach, but we know he can do exactly what he did this year. And that was turn around the Lions culture. That's kind of what Bieniemy is. So I think for the Lions and the Jags, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know for Denver. Good for him for getting interviews, though. I think I'm leaning like 51% he actually gets hired this offseason. I truly don't know. We'll see how many interviews he gets.
There's something about the Jacksonville job. I just can't put my finger on it, what the job is. I realize I just made a inadvertent Urban Meyer joke. But I just oh man, that was
a good one.
Yeah, that was good. We're clipping this for the YouTube channel, by the way. Yeah, I think yours was long enough to where I can clip it for Twitter. That's a behind the scenes thing. But anyway, I think if you're ranking the like attractiveness of those jobs, Denver is either at or near the top because of the roster, but you have to fit in, or you have to take into account where these guys fit in. Like, I totally agree with you. Eric Bieniemy does not strike me as a Broncos type guy. He strikes me as, and I love Dan Campbell. Everyone knows that I'm a big Dan Campbell guy.
I love Dan Campbell.
Yeah, they have a good thing going in Detroit. I don't know how it's going to end, but I think they have a good core, at least a budding core. I think Jared Goff is not a complete train wreck, regardless of how long they keep him. Campbell's a good culture guy. He definitely struggled at the actual like in-game decision part this season, but I think he has enough time to where he can prove it. He has like a 6-year deal, doesn't he? It's a long contract.
Yeah, and I think their team's well coached too. Like if you watch bad teams, you see a lot of just bad coaching. But I think the Lions were well coached. They just weren't very talented, so it was hard to have or lucky. Yeah, they had a lot of one-score games this year. Which is surprising for a 3-13 team, but they were actually pretty unlucky. And if they continue to be well coached, add some talent, I mean, that can turn around. It's just like I said with Eric Bieniemy, I don't know what the ceiling of the Lions under Dan Campbell is, but at least I think the losing stink and the losing mentality, I think they don't have that again. They had it, they got rid of it for a bit under Caldwell, but Patricia really just brought it back with a force. But I think Dan Campbell's getting him back there. And it was because the Lions hired the GM and the coach at the same time. We're seeing a lot of teams going like, okay, we have to do GM coach same time, which is really how you should do it. I think the Broncos might be the only one.
That
They
has
have
because
Patton.
Peyton, yeah,
Yeah,
he's been
Patton.
there.
So I think Eric Bieniemy is a guy I would want for a team that needs just that rebuild mentality.
Did you see the graphic of what teams' records would be if the one score games were flipped?
Yeah.
Detroit had like 7 or 8 wins in week 15. I was like, holy smokes. Like I could see them winning 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 games next year just because they get luckier and their talent gets better. Like I don't expect them to make the playoffs or do anything, but I could see them being an even more competitive bad team.
Their draft was pretty good too. Like they
Yeah.
got Penai Sewell. Oh my god, I butchered his last name. They got Sewell, who played really well down the stretch, and then our podcast favorite, Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Yeah.
had a great second half of the year for them. Who would have thought?
Uh-huh.
So I think they have something going there. And I think Eric Bieniemy could provide the same thing. The fit with the Broncos is kind of weird to me. I think like a Giants or a Jags opening would be better for him, and lower expectations for him too as he settles into the coaching role.
And Daniel Jones is not it. I'd like for
Right.
Bieniemy, if I had to choose between those two, to go to
Trevor
Jacksonville
Lawrence.
because I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence guy, but he was in such a bad spot. Like you put Mac Jones in his shoes,
One of the
he's
worst.
infinitely worse. Like Lawrence is going to be fine. He showed in the last couple games why he was drafted, drafted so high. Rather, he was always going to get drafted.
The highest.
Yeah, he showed why he's going to be that guy. I would like Jacksonville. I just want him to go somewhere respectfully. Like I want him to get out and go be a head coach.
I'm tired of the discourse. I just want to see it happen so we can finally end the discourse and see if he was deserving of it or not. Yes. I'm just tired of the discourse going about, especially with all the other things that happen with just somebody hire him, see if it works, and then we can go never hire Andy Reid assistants again. If that's the thing you would take away from it.